Hey folks, Keith here from Dual Sport Journey, and what we got delivered the other day is a Chinese built Brozz 250 Recon. This is how it comes to you, folks. Just like this. This one was actually strapped to a pallet. I got rid of that. Someone with some patience and could figure it out. There's a lot of information out there on YouTube as well, as far as assembling these bikes. So we'll go and open it up. Probably get a video of the unboxing, so you can kind of get a feel of what to expect once you start opening this one of these boxes up. Okay, so at this stage, the steel frame used for packaging is pretty much removed, but it's still holding on by one bolt right here, and the forks right here are bolted on to the packaging frame. What I can only guess is the front axle bolt. I'm going to go get the motorcycle stand and try to get this thing up on it. I might have to go recruit an extra pair of hands just to give me a little bit of help. Also, I laid the handlebars here, up here. It might be a good idea at this point to just go ahead and get the handlebars on. Getting the handlebars on right now at this stage would also give you another thing to hold on to balance it or help lift it or whatever. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take this thing the rest of the way out of the frame and get it up on a stand. One last quick thing. If you remember, I took a box out of this, a small box out of this packaging that was packaged. So it was sitting right there. So that box will contain all of your bolts, nuts, washers, and small parts. Also some paperwork, which I'll talk to you later about. So what you're going to want to do is before you go any further, actually, is get into this box, open up all these parts, so you know what everything is. Everything's, for the most part, kind of self-explanatory. You know, you got a lever here, you got a kickstand, got the gear shifter, pretty basic stuff. That might be acid for the battery. But the best thing to do right now is open this parts and basically sort through all these bolts and put the like ones together, and that will really help you kind of visualize what you're going to use and where. So I'll do that right now. Okay, I have all the bolts and washers and nuts and small miscellaneous parts laid out here and sorted kind of by type and size. So as you're assembling, you could just draw from the parts. that'll leave less parts, and for the most part you can kind of figure it out. But as I said before, this is not necessarily an instructional video to assemble one of these. All right, there are instructional videos, specific instructional videos on YouTube that you can find that'll tell you exactly which bolt goes where. But in any case, it's a lot easier to do this and get everything kind of and laid out, so you can grab them as you need them. Okay, so as you can see, I was able to get the motorcycle up out of the crate, off the base of the crate, and onto my little motorcycle jack stand. Couple quick things. That shock right there, it's not bolted in when you get it in the crate. So once you get it up on the stand, this stand worked out great. It's just about the perfect height, and I was able to just, put this bolt in. But there was no washers that came with this. So I went and picked up some washers. I put the bolt through for now just to pin it together. But I'm going to take that bolt back out and put some stainless washers and a lock washer on there. And also, I forgot to mention a couple things you're going to want as well during this assembly is some blue Loctite. I like to use blue Loctite on just about everything. It really helps kind of seal the threads up, protects the threads, keeps things from backing out with vibration. So you're going to want to go through a lot of things here and just kind of Loctite things down. Get that. Also, you're going to need some grease. There's the front axle bolt, and in the wheel here, there's no grease or anything on any of these parts. So you're going to want to grease up the axle bolt and maybe in around the wheel bearings and things like that in the wheel. So you're going to want some grease and some blue Loctite, and probably pick up some stainless washers. Anyways, you can see that I did get the handlebars on. Really straightforward. These parts I pointed out that were in the parts bag. The bolts were really self-explanatory which ones to use. They were the only ones that were not only threaded for this size, but were long enough to come down into the riser, so they were really easy to pick out. Get the handlebars on at this point, because you're going to want to get some of the other things up out of the way, so you can kind of start cleaning up this mess and start figuring out where you want certain cables and wires to run before you hook up your headlight. So you want to get all this kind of squared away before you put your headlight on. So at this point, what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to go ahead and mount the kickstand on before I forget. So I got all the parts. Bolt right here. It's kind of a greenish color or something, with a nut, the spring, and the kickstand. So that's obviously gonna go right there. I'm gonna go ahead and get that mounted up right now, and then I'm gonna work on lifting some of these other items up onto the handlebars, and then I'll have you take a look at that. Okay, I got these assemblies installed on the handlebar. The easiest way to do this is find the kill switch here and the starter switch, and put that on first, because this strap back here has got a little tab on it, and it lines up with a little hole on the handlebars right here. So there's no adjustment back and forth or where you can put this unless you take that tab off. So I went ahead and just secured that on the handlebars and then mount everything to it, basically. And right now everything is loose, a little bit loose, because I just wanted to make sure that nothing was binding. I was able to get to the throttle slack adjustment here. and that the throttle worked with no binding. And also, you kind of want to make sure that the angle on this isn't too steep, too far back, because you want to be able to read, obviously, the level of the brake fluid. And if it's tipped too far back, also, if you need to open this to bleed or change out the fluid, you know, if it's too far back, you're going to get spillage when you open this. So just little things like that. Everything looks pretty good right here. So I think I'm going to probably tighten everything down. I'm happy with all this. So the next thing I'm going to do after that is I'm going to go ahead and install the ignition pieces. So things are coming together here. There isn't a whole lot left that you got to really mess with. Just kind of the ignition, and then of course the instrument panel. But we'll do that after we do the ignition. This only goes in one way. Okay, so really simple. There's a top plate right here that we'll get right here, and I'm just gonna guess, because there's two, they look about the right length. I'm pretty sure that that's gonna be it. So this is gonna just kind of set right in there, just like that, easy. And then these bolts will just go right up in here and mount right in there. So I'll go ahead and mount this in, mount the ignition switch in, and then get that stuff out of the way. Okay, so we got this plate, ignition plate cover on. You can see the two bolts in there that holds that up. And so next is going to be the actual ignition unit here. Again, it only goes on one way, okay? Like that. And it's held on by two, it'll be the shorter Allen head. There'd be 6 millimeter Allen head bolts, short ones. So there's nothing else like it in your parts kit, so they'll be easy, really easy to find. So we'll get that mounted up next. Okay, with the ignition all squared away there, the ignition switch, I think I'm gonna go ahead and put this instrument panel up here. Pretty basic, just two, I'm not sure if you can see that, but there's just held down by two screws right in there. So over here are your parts that you have left. It's going to be the smallest 8 millimeter head screws, these two right here. Okay, I got the instrument panel all mounted up there, and you can see out of the instrument panel there's a plug, and if you come down here, here's the speedometer assembly, and there's a matching plug right here. So you're going to want to get basically those plugged in together, and then I think after that I'm going to go ahead and just mount the fender and get the wheel mounted up. So I'll grab the fender and we'll go from there. Okay, so mounting the fender, 4 mounting points right here for the fender. So you're going to need 4 bolts. Now, the rear two are smaller than the front mounting bolts, so you're going to use these longer bolts for the front and these shorter bolts for the back. So 4 bolts total, and then you're going to want washers on each of them. So that's what you're going to use to mount the fender. Okay, fender is on. You can see the 4 bolts there where it mounts up. And I think what I'll do now is I'll go ahead and mount the brake caliper. Goes right there. And we're going to need these 2 bolts. I'll put a little bit of Loctite on them, and then I'll mount it right up. Okay, got the brake caliper mounted up here, just snugging it up. That's going to be 10 millimeter. So I just wanted to show you something real quick here before I put the wheel on. So this is the Speedometer Assembly, and it can only go together just one way. You'll see there's a little groove right here, and then there's this tab right here. So it basically just sits in just like this, and that'll seat right inside the wheel, and so you just kind of put everything together, put the wheel in there, and put everything together, slide the axle bolt through. Just make sure you want to grease up that axle bolt really good. So I put a little bit of extra grease on inside the wheel and inside of these and everything, just as a little bit extra. Okay, so with the brake caliper installed, nothing stopping you really from going ahead and mounting the wheel up. You see, this is the little spacer right here that was in your parts. I just put a little bit extra grease in there and insert that spacer in just like that. And you'll see over here inside the brake caliper there's just a little spacer in there that just is keeping the pads separated for shipping. So just remember to take that out, and the disc will roll right in between the pads, and then hook up your assembly. I got to grease up the axle bolt, and then basically just put everything together and torque it down properly. I'll have to look at the torque setting for that, but I'm not going to worry about that too much at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and put the wheel on. Okay, got the wheel all on. I think next I'm just going to go ahead and mount up the headlight here. Pretty easy. I got one plug left right there. I'm just going to plug that in, and here are the mounting holes, and you'll see it's pretty self-explanatory, really, you know. So the screws that you want to use are right here. These were actually inside when the bike came out of the packaging. These were actually already in there. So there's little rubber mounts in there. Okay, I think everything's starting to come together quite nicely here. I think the next thing I want to do is I want to remove the seat, just because there's some extra material here. I don't know what that's all about, and I wanted to get the plastic off without leaving bits and pieces of it underneath there. So I want to remove the seat, but I believe I have to actually remove this fender assembly right here to get to the bolts that allow you to remove the seat. Okay, so I took the rear fender assembly here and off, just laying on the tire there. It was held on by 4 of these Allen head bolts. So 2 in the front, 2 in the rear. Really easy. And then this whole unit just kind of comes down off. So what I found is 2 bolts right there, 2 nuts that will take off, and I believe that holds the seat on. So we'll go ahead and remove those and take the seat off. So with those 2 nuts removed off those 2 rear bolts underneath the fender here, the seat actually does just come right off. So that's how the seat comes off. Hope you should never have to take it off, because they're kind of a pain. You need deep well sockets, 10 millimeter, excuse me. So they go back right in there, and then just 2 nuts hold them on. So there's really nothing back here. Computer or something that used to be hooked up, and this is the 2022 model, so they discontinued that. So there really is nothing back here, hopefully, that you never need to get to again, unless you do maybe like a mod with the air box. Looks like these are just, I don't know, maybe some extra that they include in there for whatever reason. I really don't know, but I'll just take those off. So this is probably a good time to pull the battery out, and you need to fill it with the supplied battery acid that comes packed in that box with the other parts. So you don't need to have the seat off to do this, but this panel here needs to come off, and it looks like there's just 1 bolt right there. That's what it looks like, but it looks like it's pretty simple. And of course you see the batteries back here. So that has to come out, and you have to fill it, and then you have to hook up the battery, obviously, before you can go any further. So we're going to do that right now. Okay, so just really quick, I figured I should include this. Once you get this front plastic panel off the bike, there's going to be a bolt right here, and then a bolt right there. So you want to remove this bolt, and I already removed this bolt here, and the battery actually comes out. It sits in this metal case, and this whole case and everything basically comes out. You got to kind of rock it forward and then kind of up. It's a real tight fit, and you might want to maybe even unplug some of this stuff and just fold everything out of the way. But I just wanted to show you that, and we'll give it a shot here and see how it comes out. Okay, so with the battery out, got my acid here that I got to fill the battery up. So this battery comes dry. All right, nothing in it. There is instructions in here. Okay, so read the instructions. The battery will slide right out of the holder here. So I'm gonna take the battery itself out of this metal holder, so I can clean the battery up really good before I put it back in the bike because you're probably gonna spill a little bit. But you can see here the red tube is what you use to fill it. The other tube that's in the package is your vent tube that you're going to need to install right here, that runs down below your motorcycle, so if the battery heats up and stuff discharges, it won't leak onto your motor or other components, corroding things on the way down. So make sure you hook up this vent tube when you install the battery back in, and run that down underneath the bike. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get obviously some protection on my hands, and I'm going to take this in the back part of the shop somewhere safe, and go ahead and remove all these, top it all off. And then you're supposed to just let it sit. It doesn't really say for how long, but I don't know, I'll let it sit for maybe 30 minutes or so, and then I'll hook the charger up to it and let it get a good charge for a few hours, and then reinstall it. Okay, well, as you can see, I've got the battery already installed back inside. I had to move some of these wires, you know, but so I just have to put the bolt back in there, in there. It comes with a battery strap here, and then I'll put the panel, the side panel back on, and I'll put the seat back on, and the rear tail light and fender assembly, get that back up in there. Okay, so at this stage, it's really just about almost complete. I've got some reflectors over here, and the lower fork guards to bolt on. I'm not really too worried about that right now. Everything else is complete. I've got seat back on, and the fender bolted back up into place, and I've got a good battery installed. So before I put fuel in it, let's just see what the instrument panel looks like here. It's got kind of this weird. Okay, so you gotta put this little key in here to turn it to open this. Insert the key, and look at that. We've got nice indicator. I like that. So apparently there is a off on the headlights. I didn't realize they made them like that anymore. And then there's parking, and then there's and then there's light. Okay, think, oh, high beam, low beam. Okay, that's high beam, low beam. Let's try out the turn signals here. Okay, turn signal there. I'm gonna put that back on parking. That was really bright. And it looks like we got this turn signal working. This turn signal is working. Looks great. Okay, brake. That works. And the lever, front brake, and that works. The other thing I didn't put on is I have this comes with a really, really nice fender rack. It's in the drawer down there. I just didn't bother putting it on yet. I will, because it's super easy. It bolts right on. And it really is a really nice rack, a usable rack. So I plan on putting that on. I just haven't yet. So at this point, it looks like we are ready to put some fuel in it. All right, I just put some fuel in it. And that's on. And let's see, the choke is all the way down. That's all the way up. Maybe I'll try just half choke. It's never been run before. Brand new assembly here. So let's try it, see what happens. Okay, I'll go with full choke. Okay, fired, put the choke back down. Okay, I'll make sure the choke's all the way off now. Hold the throttle. I guess I gotta hold the throttle just a little bit. But this is real time, no editing here. First time that started, brand new assembly here. I'm not sure if it's gonna idle. I might have to adjust the idle up just a little bit. I'm kind of holding the throttle just a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. So I'm probably gonna have to adjust the idle just a little bit. Let me try it one more time here. I'll give it just a little bit. Okay, so I got to adjust the idle, but that's okay. That's you know, it's unbelievably quiet. I can't believe how quiet this thing is. But there we are, folks. Thanks a lot for joining me along on this journey with the 2022 Brozz 250 Recon, unpacking, unboxing, full assembly, and to fueling and starting it for the first time. So folks, I just wanted to add, you know, this is going to be just part one, okay? You know, I got it assembled and it's running, but I haven't taken it out yet and kind of put it through its paces, which I plan on doing. So watch out for part two. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you do too. Thanks, and be safe.